How we doing, guys? Welcome to the Friday Waffle. This is coming to you live, well, not live obviously because it's recorded. I am recording this on Friday night and it is 19:43 to be exact. I was hoping to get it done earlier, but I had a few bits and pieces to do, so aye, trust you all had a decent week. I wouldn't say I've been quiet work-wise, but it's been quieter this week than it has for a long time, which I'm not complaining about. Well, the weather, bloody hell, what can we say about the weather? We had what I think was one of the hottest days on record on, was it Tuesday? Up here it was, I think it was about 29 degrees. It was bloody hot, which is fine if you're out and about, but I was working, so I didn't really get to enjoy it at all. And then the very next day we had absolutely torrential rain. Now I know we get a lot of rain in Scotland, but this was rain, serious rain. The last few days it's been overcast, but it's still stiflingly warm. Last night I had a really bad, not last night, this morning I should say, in the middle of the night I woke up with a really bad headache, which I put down to just the warm weather. I'm really bad for not drinking enough, but anyway, enough about that. What have I been doing with myself this week? What have I been doing? Gaming wise, I finally finished The Last of Us on the PS4. Ava and myself were playing it last night. The PS4 one does come with downloadable content. Is it Left Behind, I think they called it? It kind of goes back before the game actually starts, sort of thing. So completed that last night. That's actually the first game I've completed for a long time. I'm really bad for starting games and never actually finishing them. But if you've never played The Last of Us, I seriously suggest you go and look it up. It's not so much a game, it's more an experience. I mean, the storytelling and the sort of character development within the game, the emotions, the feelings, it's just a fantastic game. It's definitely up there as one of my favourite gaming experiences. It really is. It's right up there with Resident Evil 4, although that's got less of a storyline and more about zombies. So completed that. I've still got, what have I got up there? I've still got Doom. I'm maybe like 4 hours into Doom. Because as you know, the PS4, it has limited storage space. Now I do know that you can apparently quite easily put another drive in. I'm tempted to do that. I might look at doing that maybe next month, because I think it's a 500 gig drive, which, you know, these games take up 50 gig, so you don't get that many games on it, especially when you've got all these PlayStation Plus games you can download. I mean, I just buy, you know, I don't buy them because I've got the PlayStation Plus account. I add it to my library, but I've got so little room left to actually put on games. I'm kind of desperate to get through Doom as well, so I've taken Last of Us obviously off, which has given me a wee bit more space, and I'm going to get, hopefully Doom, get battered into that over the next sort of coming weeks. Now I've got to say I'm really not prepared this week. Don't know why. I've been, what was I doing? Yeah, I was up fixing. I was up, one of my mates asked me if I would go up and fix his computer, or not fix it. His son has built a PC and he's got the operating system there, but he didn't know how to put it on. So I went up to do the needful, and I've got one of these little portable USB DVD drives. Couldn't get the bloody disc in. The disc was completely, the drive itself was just knackered, couldn't get it in, so that was a complete waste of time. So I managed to get back to the house. I managed to follow a sort of tutorial on how to install Windows on a USB stick. It's actually fairly simple. Microsoft actually produced a tool. Now what I was really surprised to see, although technically maybe shouldn't be, you can actually download, you know, Windows from Microsoft. Obviously the bit you need to pay for is the license key. So what I was able to do is download Windows 7 onto, download it directly from Microsoft, and then I use this little tool and I put it on a USB stick. So I've got to go back to my mates on Sunday night, I think it is, to do his install. So I got that to do. But yeah, gaming wise, Nothing else, not been using my Picade thing at all. No, I've been playing, what have I been playing? What's the name of the game? Is it Inside, I think it's called. It's one of these indie games and it's on the Xbox One. And it's a follow-up to, is it Limbo? I think it is. It's a very, very, very dark game. It's almost like Silhouette, you know, the characters are just black silhouettes against a kind of white. In fact, that's not entirely true. Limbo was like that. This one is more sort of proper graphics, but it's a very, very depressing, slightly sort of violent game. You play the part of what I think is a small boy. You don't get any insight into what the story's about or anything, but it's quite brutal. Some of the deaths, the way you get killed is quite brutal, but it's a beautiful game. I think it cost me, was it $14.99? So I've been working my way through that. Really nice game, suggest you go and check it out. Anything else? Right, before I forget, I've not got anything written down, but a few things that are in the back of my mind. Forgot to mention when we were talking about pickups last week, Dean, Return to Gaming, he picked up a Xbox 360, a brand new one, a 500 gig. Now the reason he bought it was because he reckons that the Xbox 360s, being what they are, i.e. not very reliable, he wanted to get himself a good reliable machine. Apparently the latest version of 360, it's kind of changed its shape, it doesn't overheat, you don't get any red rings of death, it's meant to be very super reliable, and it's also very quiet. And what Dean was saying, he made a valid point. The Xbox 360 is probably, I don't know if he said it's his favourite platform, but it's got a hell of a lot of good games for it. He did a couple of really good videos, you know, his top kind of 22 games on the Xbox 360. And then that was a few months ago, and then Mark, Lactobacillus Prime, he bought one a couple of weeks ago, and it got me thinking maybe I should do the same. Now I've got to be honest, I have actually already got two Xboxes. I've got one there, and I've also got one downstairs, but these are both old models. Now I think the one downstairs was it was either my 5th or 6th Xbox 360. I've been particularly unlucky when it comes to Xboxes and red rings of death. So anyway, yeah, I had a look online and I bought myself a brand new 360 500 gig. Now I think the drive in the one downstairs and that one there, is it 120 gig I think it is. So 500 gig should hold quite a number of games. Especially when you think that the average Xbox game is maybe about, I don't know, well it's less than, I think some of the games were like dual layer, which was it 8.7 gig. Most of them were single layer, which would be, what was it, 4.7, something like that. So a 500 gig drive should manage to hold quite a lot of games on it, which is pretty good. So it's actually up in the loft, but I have been going absolutely stupid buying games for it. I went up to CEX last weekend. What I did was I created a list, well I googled a list of 100 top Xbox 360 games, and I also added the games that Dean had recommended. He did I don't know where he got 22 from, but it was 22 top games. So I compiled a list of like 120 odd games that I wanted. Excuse me a second, hurry up man. That's Archie in again. No letting off, you've been warned. So I went up to CEX with this massive list, obviously taking off the games I already had, and I managed to buy, I think it was 11 games last weekend, and it cost me 24 quid. So that's what, it was just over £2, just over £2 a game. Tons of games, you know, I'm not even going to start rhyming them off. And then on eBay I went online and had a look, and I've bought about another, I think it's about another 12 games. So I've got all of them bar 3 I think it is. So yeah, I've managed to get about, what would that be, about 19 games for probably, I don't know, 40 quid. You know what I mean? Not even, well, I would say just about averaging £2 a game. I mean, I got, was it Black Ops? or Battlefield, I can't remember what one it was, Battlefield 3 I think it was, for 80 pence. That's just madness. So what I'm planning to do is I've got this definitive list of games that I want to try and get a hold of, because the thing is, as we all know guys, in 2-3 years time, you probably won't be able to buy an Xbox 360. You're going to have to rely on buying second hand, and as we all know, buying second hand doesn't always guarantee a good sale. I mean, I bought what did I buy? I bought a PS3 off one of my mates. Absolutely top bloke, and he sold it to me in good faith. This was when the PS3 hadn't long been out, so I bought it for, I think it was 270 quid, but that's when it was like, 350, whatever it was. So it was a good price, and it lasted 3 months. And I can't remember what happened to it. I think it was a black screen, something like that. I ended up selling it online for like 30 quid, and I think it turns out it's probably quite an easy fix. But yeah, I spent 270 quid on a machine which lasted me 3 months, so I've kind of been stung badly when it comes to buying second hand. So I've got a spankingly new 360 up in the loft, so hopefully in years to come, when these things are as rare as hen's teeth, I've got my huge volume of games which I have paid very little money for, because the 360 is a fantastic console. What you tend to find, or at least I find, that when a machine is superseded, you tend to find you don't use that machine. But then when the machine you're using is superseded, you then start to use the sort of 2 generations old machine, if that makes any sense. So what I'm trying to say is that at the moment I play the PS3 and sort of the Xbox One. I very rarely, in fact I never, I'm looking at it up there, I've got my PS3, the last time I played it, I don't even know when. I've never really played the PS3 that much. I mean, game wise I've maybe only got about 15 games for it, because as we both know, well, possibly me and one person that's watching the video, as we both know, the games are virtually identical on both systems, and the 360 was always my choice, just because the PS3 update is a thing of nightmares. You cannot play it for 6 months, switch it on, and then you've got a 4 gig update, and it's not the quickest internet connection either. So I very rarely use the PS3, and even now I don't really use the 360 that much, even though I've got a shitload of games for it. But probably in a few years to come I will start to kind of play it again. But I'm quite happy that I've now got my spare 360 up in the loft. Should these 2 things fall over, I can use that. So aye, that's that. I showed you my Defender stick from Mike, my mate. Love it, really enjoying using it. I've been playing it, I've maybe used it 3 or 4 times since I've got it, and even in that very short space of time, I'm starting to get a feel for the controls. Like I says, the actual scoring, my high scores are still crap, because it's a damn difficult game, but having proper controls definitely makes a difference. Now I think it was Mark, Lactobacillus Prime, he was sort of saying how he hates the game because of the shitty controls, and he would rather play with a joystick. Now I totally get that, because I was the same. I've always avoided Defender like the plague, for the simple reason is it is impossible to control. But to play it any other way other than using the official or the proper controls is not doing the game justice. You've got to play it using the up and down, reverse, these buttons. So this stick is basically giving me, as near damn it, an arcade controller for Defender, and I'm gonna keep at it and see if I can get some kind of decent scoring. But I'm really enjoying playing it, because as I says, it's a game that I've just I know I could have easily put it onto up, down, left and right, but I've just refused to do that, because I know that's not the way to play Defender. If I was going to play it, I'd want to play it properly, and now I've got this stick, I intend to do so. So this Nintendo NES thing that's been released, I know I did touch on it a few weeks ago, I think it was one of my questions. It's got apparently 30 games with it. Looks interesting, but I think they're going to lock it down they've already said that you won't be able to play extra games, which is a shame. Will I buy one? You know what, probably not, because for the simple reason is, it's not an NES. Whatever way you look at it, yeah, it's getting released by Nintendo. It's not an NES. An NES is this size and it takes big clunky cartridges. This thing is like that size and it's got games built in. So it is as much an NES as, I don't know, an Android tablet running an NES emulator, in my opinion. I mean, I've got the NES on my RetroPiecade, I've got it on my big MAME cab, I've got it on my Apple Mac downstairs, I've got it on my PC, I've got it on my GXD, whatever the hell it's called, Android tablet. You know, I can play NES games on a plethora of platforms. Try saying that when you're drunk. So do I really need another box that's going to let me play 30? Nah, not when I've got something that I can play the whole catalogue. It's a nice, I can see where Nintendo are coming from, and I'm sure being Nintendo it will be well produced, it'll probably be quite nice looking, but it's probably not for me. I mean, I think is it not about, I don't know, is it not about £80? It's quite a lot of money. If it was a disposable 20-30 quid, then it's probably a bit of an impulse buy. It's something I'd probably pick up to go along with my wee kind of plug and play TV game things, but not 80 quid. I mean, I'm saying 80 quid, I might be talking bollocks. I'm sure I did see the price of it. I can't remember exactly how much it was, but I remember thinking, that's not an impulse buy, that's something you're going to have to think about. But like I says, I can play the NES games on a multitude of different systems, so I've got no real desire to go out and buy one. Something that I will be watching with eager eyes, I should say. I'm tired, as you can tell with the wee bags. Now I was laughing at, was it Paddy, your mate, he made a comment. I did a video response to Dave, who was it? What the hell was it again? What the bloody hell was it? Oh man, I can't even remember what it was. I did a video of some sort. Hang on a second, let me check my phone. You know, that's terrible, that is old age. Ah, there we go. Yep, sorry, it was Tony Electric Adventures favourite top 5 shmups. And I did have the camera zoomed in and Paddy commented on how tired I looked. What was your exact face? Where we go, where are we? You look fairly deflated. Aye, I must admit I did look pretty shitty. I have been going to bed way too late. I don't know what you guys are like. I know a lot of fellow gamers and forum people and that tend to go to bed quite late. But I've been having late nights pretty much all this week and last week, and I really need to kind of stop that because age is catching up with me. And where was I going with this? What was I talking about? Believe it or not, I actually had to watch the video back to see what I was talking about. See, I was doing a Billy Connolly, I was going way off on a tangent, and then I was forgetting the original thing I was talking about. I was talking about using my eagle eyes. You may recall I mentioned an Android device a while back. Now, as anyone that watches my channel may know, I love an Android device because well, I was going to say they're cheap. I wait to hear this one. They're very, very affordable normally, and they do an absolute cracking job of emulating most systems, you know, including Dreamcast, PlayStation, all the usual suspects. But GXD released, or they were going to release this device called the GXD S192. Now it's a big bugger. It's got about, it's about that size. It's the same size as the old GXD, which I did have, but the problem with that one was the controls were rubbish, to put it bluntly. But there's a new one coming out. Now, I did actually pre-order it. I actually paid the money. It was going to cost me 220 quid. But it was supposed to be the best Android device, bar none, even better than the Nvidia Shield. So I pre-ordered it, I paid the money. I was going to get it from whoever it was, I can't remember the name of the company. Pre-ordered it, and it was meant to come out in, was it May? May came and went, then it was going to be mid-June. June came and went, then they said it was going to be July, August. It basically just kept putting it back and putting it back and putting it back and putting it back. So I basically had enough. I cancelled my order, and you know, that's it. But I noticed the company that I was going to buy it from are now advertising it, saying limited stock due in July. Now it's gone from 220 up to £299. That's a lot of money. That is £300. I would be wanting something that could play, I don't know, an Xbox 360 quality game. I mean, that is serious money. In some ways, I'm wishing I'd kind of kept the order in, and I mean, they would have to honour it, because I bought it there and then at the 220. I would have to get it for that price. But as I say, I cancelled my order. But £299.99. It's going to be interesting to see what it's like. It's been, you know, it's been getting made for about the last 10 years, but obviously it's now going to be getting a release at some point in this one. So I'm going to be watching to see what it's like. I mean, if it's as good as people are hoping, then I could be tempted, because as much as I like my GXD thing that I've got, the wee thing that's in there, it's a wonderful machine, really good, excellent battery life, plays everything beautifully. The screen is obviously quite small. I did like the GXD because of the big, is it 9-inch screen? I don't know what size it is. It's really a lot bigger. I'm going to see what it's like. So I don't know. But anyway, back to where I was going. Dave Lawnboys Post 1975, he was asked a question: has the retro community, YouTube retro community, become, what's the word for it? Has it become too busy? Too many channels? I'm trying to think of the phrase and I can't remember. My goodness, my brain is not working at all tonight. Is there too many sort of classic retro channels out there? I would definitely agree that there are a lot of channels. Now I suppose maybe, I don't know, 10 years ago, I mean YouTube I think was going 10 years ago. 10 years ago there was probably only a handful of people making video channels, you know, and so you were probably, people found your channel a lot easier. You probably got more subscribers, you probably got more views and that kind of stuff. Now I wouldn't go as far as to say everybody in their auntie, but there's a lot of people making videos. I'm one of them, you know what I mean. The thing is, it doesn't take much to make a YouTube channel. A camera and an idea, and that is it. That is basically it. It takes a bit more to actually keep a channel going, because you're not going to get, I think what some people expect when they make a YouTube channel, they expect instant success. Success being views, comments, subscribers. People still think of subscribers as being the be all and end all. That's the measure of your success. It means that's the number of people that have looked at your channel and possibly watched a bit of a video and thought, I want to watch more of this guy, click subscribe. I noticed my subscribers are, I think it's 829. It has been up and down after that purge that we had about a month ago. It's steadily growing. It actually went to 831 about 2 days ago, and then it's back down to 829. It seems to be going up and down, up and down. I can't seem to get over the 830 line. I mean, I did go over it and then I'm back down again. So I don't know what's going on there, but people I think expect instant success. And as I know, and anyone else that's got a channel, it's not easy. It's not easy. I mean, it can be particularly frustrating when you put out what you think is a good video. You might put a lot of work into a video, and you might be particularly proud of that video, and then it gets not very many views. I mean, I've got quite a few videos that I'm particularly proud of. A lot of the what do you call them, They Did What, where I look at a company, a software company, and I look at their back catalogue, and I play a few of their games, look at adverts. I always enjoy making these, and I've always said that I make them for me because I enjoy making these ones. But I do put a hell of a lot of work into making that particular sort of feature, and some of them haven't had very many views. Yet you make a 10-minute, grump about something, and it gets, a lot more views. So there's no guarantee to what people are going to watch. But is there too many? I'm trying to think of the name. What is the name of the? What is the name? Hang on a second. Has it become? Let me go to my history. Oh, I'm going away the wrong way here. Let me go. I'm trying to figure out how to use this YouTube app on my phone. I should know. History. There we go. Yeah, well, Exact is a gaming community too crowded for new channels to make an impact. Possibly, I would imagine it's a lot harder. And I can't really comment because I'm fairly new myself. I've been doing it for about 2.5 years now. But yeah, there is a lot out there. There is a lot out there, and you've got to try, and for people to even making original content isn't any guarantee of success. The hardest part is getting people to actually be aware of your channel, to actually watch it. I mean, there's a lot of channels I see and I think, oh, that's quite good, and I subscribe to it, and then I kind of don't go back and watch it. But no, as far as, I don't think there's too many. I mean, how can you say there's too many? You only watch what you can watch. I've got maybe 6 or 7. Don't know why I said 7. I mean, I've no idea. I've got a handful, maybe up to 10 channels that I watch religiously every week. And then there's other channels that I dip in and out of now and again. I'll maybe think, oh, I've not seen him for a while, and I'll click on it and watch his channel. But the problem is, the very, very small channels I don't know exist. You simply, you're not aware of them unless somebody's actually mentioned them, which goes back to my shout-outs thing. You're not going to be aware of them. So yeah, it is difficult, and I think a lot of channels probably start off and then they decide to wrap it up, before long, because they just get frustrated. I mean, I was the same. I was all set to wrap up my channel after about 2-3 months when I was getting like 3-4 views a video. It can get very frustrating. But you need to understand, well, for most of us this is just a hobby, it's just a bit of fun. If somebody else decides they like what I'm doing, then great. I mean, I've got to say, I'm very lucky. I do get quite a bit of feedback in videos. I don't get a particularly high number of views, but the people that do watch them are quite interactive, which is great, because that really helps makes it. You know that, I mean, I'm talking to sort of people here. I know quite a few guys that watch this waffle now, so I feel I'm talking to people rather than talking to I can't even pronounce it, an inanimate object, i.e. the camera. So where am I going with that? Is there too many? I don't think too many is a bad thing, but as far as new YouTubers is concerned, it can be very frustrating. So all I can say to any new YouTubers is just keep doing what you want to do. Don't do this if you think you're going to become rich and famous. Don't do this if you think you're going to get 1,000 subscribers after 2 weeks. It's not going to happen, guys. It's just about doing what you love, being passionate about it. You've got to like what you're doing. If you're trying to make stuff that other people want to see, I mean, by all means, if you want to get high views and high subscribers, film yourself playing Call of Duty or Minecraft. I mean, bore the tits off me right enough. I would rather talk about stuff that I want to do. So right, okay. I've not actually written down the questions that got asked, but what I've done is I've just got my phone here. So, first up we have Mr. GTB Films. That's my good mate Alan. Alan's actually in the computer club that I go to. What is Alan asking me here? Here's a question for you, Al. What's your worst retro gaming moment? Not necessarily in a game, possibly a real life muck-up. Back in the day I blew up 2 Spectrums by plugging a joystick interface in the edge connector while it was on. More recently I accidentally blew up an old Pong TV game, and I once managed to make a 486 processor catch fire with a nice green flame shooting out. What's your worst retro hardware mishap? I can't think of any retro mishap as such. The only 2 things that I've done, I once tried to fix. It was a dual shock, is it for the PS3? A dual shock controller. One of the buttons was sticking, so I took a screwdriver to open it up, lifted the top, and it went bing, and everything just went, and it just showed off in every angle possible. So that happened, and I just thought, bollocks to that. I got all the pieces into my hand, into the bin. That was it. That was one DualShock in the bin within a few seconds of trying to repair it. But the only thing I can think of that I damaged, or didn't damage, I blew it up basically. It was my first PC, a Pentium 60. I had enough money and I bought a new motherboard. I can't remember what the hell it was. It was a Pentium, I don't even remember, Pentium 120, something like that, whatever it was. And this was when, like, memory, like, I was going to say 1 gig, 8 meg of memory would be, I don't know, 200 quid. This is when PC parts were very expensive. And this Pentium 60 board, you didn't just get rid of it like you would now. My mate, he didn't have a PC, and he said, "Oh, I'll buy your Pentium 60 board off you." And I can't remember what it cost brand new. Say it was like 200 quid. I said, right, well, okay, we'll call it £100, which was a good deal for him. But then he said to me, well, would you be able to fit it for me, because I'm not too sure what I'm doing. Now, I wasn't too sure what I was doing, but I said, yep, okay, that was kind of part of the agreement. He buys it off me and I fit it for him. So I took the board up to his house, and we opened up the case and we screwed it all in place. Well, excellent. Things are going quite well. Plugged in the memory, plugged in all the sort of graphics cards and that kind of stuff. Then we went to plug in the power, put the power thing in, switched it on, poof, and this little bead of smoke. That was before they made these one-way power sockets. Nowadays it's impossible to put a power socket into a PC the wrong way around, because it's got the wee kind of thing that holds it in place. But back then that didn't exist, so I basically blew up £100 motherboard in a split second. So that was it. Because I was the guy that was fitting it, that was £100 down the drain. So that's it. I can't think of anything else, Alan, that I have actually damaged through my own stupidity or by accident. I don't think so. I've had obviously machines fail. I mean, I mentioned earlier on the PS3, 270 quid I paid for it, and it lasted about 3 months and stopped working, but I can't think of anything else at all, fortunately. So I mean, it's not been the first time that I've gone to fix like my main cab, and I end up making it worse, but I always manage to kind of get it back and get it working again. So anyway, thanks for the question, Alan, that's wonderful. If I do miss out any questions, I do apologise, because I'm just using my phone here. Let's see, don't think there's any question there. Okay. Alright, okay, here we go. Paddy O'Connor, thanks Paddy. You're a bit of a regular with the questions, mate. I appreciate that. Great waffle as always, mate. Good call on Robotron, blah blah blah. Question for next week. Do you or have you suffered with game rage? And what games trigger it? I know playing games are fun, but there are times frustration kicks in for me. It's games where you start back at the beginning when you die. Fort Apocalypse. Or if you get that pissed off, you don't play games. What's your thoughts? Oh aye, where'd I start? There's a million games that I get pissed off with. Fort Apocalypse, I must admit, I'm not too bad at that, because when you get to one of the wee landing bays, that's like a restart point, so that's not too bad. I can't think of any games that I can't think of any particular game. Games that always annoy me is where you maybe a platform game or something where you've got to collect gems or something, and you've maybe only got one to go and you die and you go right back to start again. That's always a wee bit frustrating. But I think the big frustration for me with video games is nowadays where you've got a level, back in sort of the Doom days, you could save a game at any point. You could get past a baddie, save, pick up ammunition, save, get a health pack, save. Nowadays it's all about checkpoints. You've got to get to a checkpoint and it'll automatically save. There's very few games that just let you save, on the fly sort of thing. Now, I've had a few games where I can get so far and then I die and I go right back to start. I mean, I think it's Killzone, Shadowfall for the PS4, that's a bit like that. But the one game that really sticks out in my mind is really frustrating the hell out of me was Bioshock Infinite. That's actually one of the games that I bought. I got that for about £1.80 for the 360. I'm on, I think it's the very, very, very last level now. There's not really any spoilers here, guys. I wouldn't say there's any spoilers as such. It's the last level, and I'm on this sort of air balloon type thing. And you've basically got to... Sorry about that, guys. That was the memory card filling up, because I forgot to delete last week's waffle. What was I talking about? Aye, this Bioshock Infinite. I'm on the very last level, and you're on a sort of gunship, airship type balloon thing, and you've basically got to try and defend whatever it is. I can't remember what the hell it is you're defending, but you just basically get an absolute onslaught of baddies, and they all keep coming in these ships and dropping down, and you can play it and play it and play it and play it, and it's absolutely non-stop annihilation. And I can maybe play it for 10-15 minutes and then I die and I go right back to the start again, and that is just incredibly frustrating. And it's got to a point where I really don't want to play it again. I might have another crack at it. Sometimes I do find that if I'm playing a game and I just can't get past a level, sometimes if I go away from it for a couple of days, go back, I can usually do it first time. It's bizarre. It's almost like you're starting over sort of thing. But yeah, that Bioshock Infinite, that just annoyed the hell out of me. I wish there was an option where you could maybe skip a level or get past something, because when you spend a lot of money in these games, when you buy them brand new, they're not cheap. They're 30-40 quid brand new, and some, if you buy them online you're paying even more. It's quite frustrating when you get to a point you can't get past it, even on the easiest level, and you end up abandoning the game, and you think to yourself, well, I didn't really get my money's worth out of that game. So either that or having a built-in cheat mode. I always think it would be great to have a built-in cheat mode. Why don't they make cheat options as standard in a game? At the end of the day, if you want to ruin it for yourself and put it on infinite lives or infinite ammo, that's up to yourself. But there's plenty of games where I have basically got to the end of my tether with it. I've given up. I just can't get past it. It would be great to be able to put on infinite energy or more enjoyably infinite ammo, because how many times do you play one of these sort of first person shooters and you can't get past a level because you've only got a tiny wee bit of ammo and you simply can't find any more? So having a built-in cheat mode would be excellent. Back in the day you could type in codes and that kind of stuff, but you really don't get that anymore. You don't seem to get kind of cheat codes in games now. So I would say to any publisher, please start putting in cheat modes. And if I want to cheat in a game that I've bought, then I should have the right to do that, because it just means that you get to a point like I've got in Bioshock Infinite or Infinity, whatever it's called, and I just give up because I simply can't get past it, and it's got to a point where it's no longer enjoyable. It just becomes really frustrating and annoying. So yeah. So anyway, Paddy, thanks for your question. I think that is it. I don't think there's any other questions. Now, excuse me, bastard tube user. Cheers for your comment, buddy. I know you have been really supportive over the last few months. Been watching like my videos and commenting as well. So thanks for that. Now what you're saying here is you're talking about the Defender controller. Now you were talking about here, it looks like in your previous videos he's talking about MAME, that all my videos just have the built-in scores. Do you ever have the MAME tab for time played stacked up? I wonder what your most played game is. Sometimes it's surprising what your top 10 games are after year odds, blah 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 blah. You put in 30 hours on Final Fight. Still less than a modern game. Yeah, I mean what I was mentioning was when I make my videos, my main videos for like shoot 'em ups and whatever arcade perfects, I use the PC downstairs because I've got the software on it. I don't use that to play games per se. If I'm going to play MAME games, any arcade games, I use the big arcade monitor or the arcade MAME cab. That's where all my high scores are stored, but I don't record using the MAME cab for obvious reasons. It's just a lot more a palaver to do that. So that's why when you see any MAME games in my videos, you'll think, oh, he goes on about 1942, how come his high score's only 20 odd thousand? It's because when I'm playing properly for fun, I always use the MAME cab, so that's the reason for that. So, right, anyway, I'm eager to go and watch the athletics, which is on the TV just now, so I'm going to wrap this up. I didn't have any new shout out YouTube channel, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to mention a channel now. It's probably not going to be of any benefit to many people because this guy is well known within the YouTube community, but I'm going to give him a shout out anyway. His name is Bangkokian. His name is Ian. He lives in Bangkok, Ian. Ian's a great guy. I've known Ian for, I would say, probably about a year now. He's been making videos for probably about the same length of time. Now, he is a sort of retro head. He's about the same age as me. We seem to share a lot in common with games and the sort of systems that we started with. Well, I think his parents were definitely richer than my parents because he had a BBC, I think he said. Ian, his forte, and you won't mind me saying this, is VR, virtual reality. Now, I can take the blame for that. I think you don't mind me saying that, Ian. When I got the Samsung thing, VR gear thing, whatever it's called, I did a video of it, and Ian went out and bought one on my recommendation. And since he's got that, he has bought himself the Oculus Rift, the consumer version, and he's also got the Hive, is the HTC Vive, I think it's called, Hive. That's where bees live. Vive, I think they call it. And Ian loves his VR. Most of his channel is VR. He did a video today of a pro game, and it just looks amazing. But he's got a really good presentation style. He doesn't take himself too seriously. His videos are hugely fun to actually kind of watch. If you've got any incline or any inclination about maybe getting VR, go and check out Ian's website. It says what he doesn't know about VR isn't worth knowing. Like I said, he's a great guy, really entertaining. His videos are good fun. He does cover a lot of platforms, you know, the Vive, the Oculus Rift, and he also covers the Samsung as well. I mean, he does play other games as well, but I think in the main, his speciality is VR. So that is it, guys. That is me finished. I hope you enjoyed watching the video. Thank you as usual to all your support. Yeah, that is it. Have a nice weekend, and as usual, thank you very much for watching.